Hello fellow survivors and DayZ enthusiasts. Welcome to my guide on setting up your very own DayZ community server. Whether you're new to server hosting or have been around the block a few times, this guide is designed to make your journey easier and less frustrating. I first chose GTX Gaming for their friendly user interface and straightforward process of setting up a server. As someone stepping into running my own first server, I found their system easy to use and welcoming. It was only after I'd been running my server for a while that I began to fully appreciate their other resources. Their customer support and active Discord community served to be a great help, offering assistance and advice that have been essential in managing and enhancing my gaming community. Another plus has been the variety of server plans and games they offer. This flexibility has allowed me to scale my server in line with my community's growth, ensuring a good balance between cost and performance. So let's get started. First up, we need to navigate to the GTX Gaming website. You can simply Google GTX Gaming, use the link I'm showing right now, or just click the link in the description below. Once you're there, you'll notice they offer a bunch of different games, but for this guide, we're zeroing in on DayZ. Here you'll see various packages tailored to different server sizes. Don't sweat the details here, you can always adjust your plan later on. To start off, I recommend going for a 10 slot server. It's the most budget friendly option and offers everything you need to get rolling. Next, let's dive into customization options. Here's where you can tailor your server to fit your unique needs. The key thing to focus on initially is the server location. Choosing a server close to your region minimizes latency, ensuring a smoother experience for you and your players. Remember, you can always make upgrades later as your server grows. For now, sticking with the base package is a solid choice while you're figuring things out. Once you've made your selections, it's time to hit checkout. It's pretty straightforward and you should be able to complete it with no hiccups. So with your server now in the works, let's move on to the next step where we'll discuss setting up and customizing your server to bring your DayZ world to life. Okay, first things first, grab your login details from the Service/My Service tab in the client area of GTX Gaming. Once you have your login information, you can either use the auto login or go back to the GTX landing page using the link below again. From here, click on the Game Panel button to access the Game Panel login. Enter your credentials and you're in. You're now in the GTX Gamepanel, which is your central hub for managing your server. To find your server, click on Game Servers. This is the area where you'll be spending a lot of time, so get comfortable with it. On the home page, marked by a green icon, you'll see your server's basic information. The server name is set by default at the top, and I'll show you how to change that in a bit. Below that, the current status of your server is displayed. Here you'll have the options to start, stop, and restart your server. Also take note of the connection IP info displayed here, which can be useful later on. But before we proceed, if your server is running, let's turn it off for now. Just remember that shutting down your server will disconnect any players currently online. Now let's go into customizing and optimizing your server setting. Click on the Configurations Files tab. You'll recognize it by the settings logo. Once it loads up, you'll see a few different options. Let's focus on the config.cfg file for now. GTX offers two ways to edit this: the text editor, which might be a bit daunting if you're not used to looking at code, and the more beginner-friendly config editor, which is what we will be using. Let's start from the top and work our way down. First up, changing the server name to something that resonates with you and your community. This is your server's identity and is what will be displayed on the server list. As you hover over each option, you'll notice a tooltip pops up. These are super handy if you're unsure about what a specific setting does. The first few options is where you can toggle things like third-person view, crosshairs, VoIP on and off, depending on the gameplay experience you're aiming for. One setting I highly recommend is server time persistence. Turn this on to keep the in-game time consistent throughout server restarts. So if it's night when the server restarts, it'll stay night when it comes back up. Next, we have server time acceleration for day and night. This is something you might want to experiment with to find the perfect balance for your server. Do you prefer longer nights, shorter days, or the other way around? For my server, a 4-12 day-night cycle worked best. If you want more realism, you can tweak additional night settings like making nights darker and removing the personal light aura. This makes items like chem lights and flashlights more useful. Moving on to ping settings, these can be adjusted based off the needs of your community. I had to tweak mine a bit to accommodate a player with occasional lag spikes from overseas. Now let's talk about the mission template, or the map your server will use. By default, it's set to Turnurus, so let's just leave it there for now. The last couple settings are about damage control. You can choose to disable base or container damage. This is great if you want a server with world PvP but no base rating. And finally, there's a CFG gameplay file with more advanced controls. If you're just starting out, don't worry about this for now. Alright, so once you're happy with the settings, go ahead and hit save and exit on top. Remember that these settings aren't permanent and you can always come back and tweak them whenever the server is off. Now that your settings are saved, let's head back to the home page by clicking on the green controller icon. To ensure all of our changes are implemented correctly, let's start the server. Don't worry if the server name doesn't update immediately on the game panel. It usually takes a bit of time to refresh. Despite this, the name change is normally quick to update on the live server list. I like to give my server an extra restart here, just to make sure everything's running smoothly after the new configurations. While we're in the game panel, let's explore a few areas that you'll frequently use for server administration and modding, starting with the file manager, represented by the folder icon. In the file manager, you'll find all the necessary server files. The two folders we're initially interested in are MP Missions and Profiles. The MP Missions folder contains DayZ game files for each map. Editing these can change the core gameplay for that specific map. The Profiles folder, previously known as the SC folder, stores subfolders for any mods you install, typically holding in their configuration files. You'll also find system logs here. But before starting up your server and inviting players, there's one crucial plugin I recommend installing, the DZSA plugin. This syncs your server with the DZSA launcher, which is a must-have for community servers. If you're not familiar with DZSA, it's a third-party DayZ launcher widely used in the community, which makes connecting to your server and downloading mods easier. To install the DZSA plugin, click on Mod Manager, symbolized by the flask icon. Once there, expand the Tools section and find DZSA Launcher. Click Install and let the process run. It might take some time and appear to freeze, but just let it do its thing. Remember, installing mods can cause your server to restart, so give your players a heads up before they get kicked off the server. After installation, you'll see a new DZSA button in your game panel. Click it to sync and check your server status with DZSA. If there are any issues, try resyncing or repeating the process. Once you see the green status bar in DZSA, your server is synced, and any mods installed will appear on the list. For now, it's showing the basics: game name, server name, map, player count, and game version. Regular syncing with DZSA, especially after mod changes, is a good practice. Alright, so with that taken care of, let's see the server in action. I'll demonstrate how to connect using both the standard DayZ client launcher and the DZSA launcher. If you haven't downloaded DZSA yet, I've included a link below. First, let's try the DayZ client launcher. Go to Servers, then Community, and search for your server. If it doesn't appear immediately, don't worry. As you can see in my case, the launcher struggles to find my server. So with that, let's switch to the DZSA launcher. Type your server name in the filter box. Notice how quickly DZSA locates my server while the DayZ client is still searching. This is a common issue, so guide players having trouble finding your server to use DZSA instead. In the launcher, you'll see DZSA shows your server details and prompts players to download any mods upon connection. Since we aren't running any mods, let's just hit play. DayZ should automatically boot up and log you into your server. Once in, you can confirm you're on your server by hitting escape and checking the server name and IP under the DayZ logo. And that wraps up setting up your DayZ server with GTX Gaming. Remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore and learn in server administration and customization. If you have any questions, or if there's a specific mod or admin task you're curious about, just drop a comment below. I'm here to help, and I might cover your topic in a future video. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe for more DayZ server guides and tips. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, happy gaming and good luck with your server.